So you've connected with yourself, destroyed the false self, and now you find yourself in the void. Don't be scared. LesaBelle is here. You've got to channel your inner captain of your consciousness, and you can do that through art so that what you're creating, a life based around your true self, is something that makes you feel alive. I am delighted to introduce a brilliant artist. You can see some of her art. She is a masterpiece. She's a single mother of 3. She's a brilliant creative in multiple disciplines. And she's a community leader, spreading the globe with beauty together, gathering the troops, so to speak, and awakening creatives everywhere. Please welcome LesaBelle. Lesa, it is such an honor to have you.
Thank you.
You are rare. And I know that you have so much more under the surface. What you feel, what you bring through is so powerful. Did you begin as an artist, or have you found art through more of a spiritual practice? We're just going to get right in.
That's fine. No, I have always been an artist. My mom and dad said that by the time I could pick up a pencil or crayons, I was always creating. And my mom kept this little picture from when I was 2 years old, and I had drawn the street with perspective and had birds on the telephone poles. And
that's pretty advanced.
Always very aware and observing the environment around me and capturing it. So
with the artist mentorship program, that I just have one more assignment left, I've noticed that it does take practice to build the skills that for some artists come really naturally. So as you were mentioning, you already knew how to do perspective and translate your observations into a visual form. For me, I do other types that come naturally, but in terms of drawing and painting, it's difficult. So do you have any insight as to finding your way of expression? Do you go to the thing that comes easily, or should someone take time to craft a new medium?
I think it's a little of both, because anything worth doing is worth doing well, and you learn by practice and practice. So the style that I have now is very different than the style that I was cultivating through the first 45 years of my life. And so I've always been into art. In school, I would, always take the art classes. I was an art major, and it's just always called to me. But one thing my high school art teacher told me that I always thought was kind of strange, but he told me to never go to college to learn art, because what I had in here, you can't teach. So I do feel like some of it is innate. And when we talk about gifts, sometimes we feel like that is a gift given to us to be talented. But for me, I feel like it's a gift that comes through me that's meant for others. And so that is where when it's innate and it comes directly through you, it's not from you, it's through you for others. And that is what I feel like art is for me.
And that would make sense after learning how much time and, money and just energy art takes to create. It's very pleasurable, but I realized that artists are sharing love. Like every creation is love. So that made me contemplate, what is art? And you just explained it, something channeling through you. What is channeling through you? I feel love, but what do you feel?
Definitely love. And love is such a funny word, because in society, we seem to deem it as like a partnership, as being worthy of someone's affection. But to me, love is being content with all that is in this moment. And this is where, as an artist, I can step out of my way, and I don't try to make it perfect. It doesn't even have to look like anything. It doesn't have to mean anything. It can just be what it wants to be, and I love it for it.
Oh, wow. And that is actually scientifically proven that art gets you out of that prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for judgment. So I know some of us who are really trying to be technical about the art and it's difficult for us, we could still judge it a little bit. But it is a good practice in accepting what is.
Yes. Yeah, but when it comes to creation, like you think about parents and family, they create a child and they love that child, but where is the most judgment found? It's in the home. So I think we need to kind of reframe what is the definition of love and how does that flow through us with no judgment, no barriers, no color palette that you have to stick to. Just let it be what it wants to be.
Well, and thank you for that, because I have found that if I don't have a station set out and commit to like the 21-day Sparkle Power Challenge, which it was like I am committing to creating every day, it is actually difficult for me to start. But once I get going, it is so enjoyable. Do you have tips that work for you for just starting?
Oh, for me, I think it kind of has to do with your personality type, your astrology, all of that as well. I don't like lists. I thrive in chaos. I do really well with deadlines. Like you tell me to get it done, I'll get it done. But if you give me the check, no, I can't do it. So I think different people pull art through in different ways. And there are some artists that are very detailed and it's mathematic. And it's like they have the ruler out and everything is straight, and that is beautiful art. For me, it's pure chaos, and it is matter unorganized and, media unorganized, and then somehow it just blows up together on the canvas and becomes something. And for me, that works, but for others, probably not.
Do you feel like you do life the same way? Because we create in our life too.
I'm happier when I do life the same way. Being, a mom who has responsibilities and bills to pay, I have been against my will thrust into the workforce after my divorce and have luckily found ways where I'm customer service, creative endeavors, things that I enjoy, I'm able to do that. But whenever I have like a schedule and I have to be somewhere and I have to stay there until I am able to leave, my soul starts to shrivel. So for me, I am the happiest when I wake up every morning and not knowing what that day is going to bring. That's the best for me.
And has that always been the case, or has there been a shift?
I think it's always been the case. I was the hardest child for my parents, I think, because of that, because like I'm just happy in every moment as it is, so I don't need to plan out the next, or I enjoy structure and I see the need for it, but for me, I'm good without it.
So tapping into your creativity, you've actually never lost what you were born with, it seems like. How has that helped you through such a difficult time as raising 3 kids by yourself and having to work and still prioritizing creation? How has that creativity helped you during that time?
So I think
this time
I did lose it for a while. So right around age 11 or 12, I'm not for sure what happened, but I started to recede within myself. And even my dad remarked, like, where did Lesa go? Because I was the one they were afraid was gonna, jump off a cliff and just in the moment, I was not afraid of anything, just constantly living. And then all of a sudden I became too self-aware and I cocooned, and I was afraid to raise my hand in class and have my voice be heard. Stage fright, all of these, kind of layers of this cocoon started to build up of fear of showing who I am. And so then I started listening to who other people told me I was. And I really leaned into that of, you are this, you are this is how to be a good person, this is how to be a good mom, this is the structure. And so I lived a good majority of my life being what others wanted me to be, still with my flair, still with, kind of my crazy, but not in the fullness of what I was born with. And it wasn't until I was in the thick of raising my kids and just absolutely with the weight of the world that bright, shining LesaBelle started to come through again. So probably 2016, 2017 was when I felt me begin to emerge.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you have managed to hone your art through all this. And I am a single mom too, so I am really inspired by the quality and the sheer volume of pieces that you've created since then. Because being a single mom, I mean, you don't have any time to yourself.
No.
So it is an absolute sign of strong will and leadership to be able to carve out that time. How do you balance that?
Well, my kids they've all graduated and they're out now, which is why there's been an influx of art coming through. Because from 2009 till probably 2016, I was fully focused on the kids, going to work, paying the bills. And so that part of me did take a step back. But once they became teenagers and kind of moving on was when I really started to come in here and start living my life for me. And so the majority of the paintings, like I think I did maybe 3 paintings from 2009 until 2017, 2018.
Oh, wow. Almost 10 years.
Since then, since 2018 till now, I've probably done 400 or more.
400?
Yeah, they are just pouring through because it's time.
Well, now I can see why you say it helps me get out of my way. Mm-hmm. Like you have something that is coming through you, spirit, love, source, the trapped emotions. Do you feel that art has been a therapy for you? I know it has been for me. It's found things in me that I didn't even know were there.
Yeah.
I just get in that flow state and then I move through it. And it's not uncomfortable to feel when I'm creating. Does that make sense to you?
For me, it comes through in poetry. The visual art hits a different space in my whatever creation formulation happens within my soul. Lyrics and poetry are the way that I process outwards.
Okay.
The visual art is this. It seems to be from a different source.
Well, and if people aren't having a spiritual connection that they know of, like maybe they were religious or they maybe tried to do yoga or meditate, but just haven't had that connection with the divine, would you recommend art as a way to cultivate that spiritual connection and maybe even communication with other realms or multidimensionality? It sounds like that could work.
Yeah. So I believe art is everything and everywhere. And for me, art is the way that a human soul connects with and attempts to translate their experience here. And so art is, sitting by a riverside and listening to the water go. Art is, sitting next to your kid watching cartoons and holding their hand. So I feel like that connection with spirit and what's trying to get out through here, it can be found anywhere. You do not need a brush. You do not need a canvas. You can just sit there and ask for the universe to sing to you. And that is art.
Oh, that is beautiful. And the ones who are willing to ask that, seems like they usually hear that.
Yeah, well, and I think the biggest issue I'm seeing is we are, from the minute we're born, we're taught how to be consumers. We are not taught how to be creators, which is that's our birthright, is to come here and create. And so many people have a hard time thinking of themselves as a creator or an artist, and they're just, seeing what they can siphon off of what the world delivers them, when really we are here to live from the inside out. No matter what you create, just create something.
That is profound. And I've noticed with depression, the opposite of that is expression. So that so when I'm consuming a lot. That's when that feeling kind of creeps in, and I don't feel like I'm good enough. I feel overwhelmed. Like, look at all these amazing things other people are creating.
Yeah.
But when I can get into that mode of, well, I have something that's coming through. Let me create at least a little more than I consume.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a quick shift.
Yes. Very
You feel
quick.
that too?
Yes. Yep. Super, super duper quick. And I mean, it could be just instead of going through the Taco Bell drive-through, guilty all the time. Like, go to the store, grab some ingredients, and create it at home. And just that energy of putting time and thought and effort into creation can make the biggest difference.
Oh, that's beautiful. I've found at some of these Goodwill stores and secondhand stores, they have a lot of these canvases there that I've learned you can paint over and then have a canvas. So you really don't even have to spend a ton of money. Because if you go to an art supply store, like when I got my list from my art teacher, I was like, whoa, that's a ton of money. So I just figured out how to scavenge it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a bargain hunter in every sense of the word.
We have to be.
Yes. My paint is 88 cents from Walmart.
Yes.
That's what I use. And then I will go to a thrift store and find canvases that I can reuse. Or Hobby Lobby has fabulous sales. And when you get their canvases 40% off, you can stock up. And it doesn't take much. For me, the hardest thing is carving out the time.
Have you read The War of Art?
No.
It's all about that. And I've really experienced this in my own life, where the thing that you want to create can sometimes have the most resistance out of anything you've ever tried to do. So like even more than quitting smoking or something like that. So it really is for, in this book, accepting that there is just a natural resistance to something that is meant for you, which, So that's why I'm like, all these tips and tricks to get started, yours, just give yourself the time.
Yeah. Yep. Carving out the time and and I think everything that we desire is on the other side of fear. And for me, I have this fear of, if I'm not going to a job and trading my time for money, how am I going to pay the bills that keeps this roof over our head? And so I get caught up in this fear of lack that then takes up all the time that I could be putting into creation, which eventually does lead to the abundance coming back to you, because when we give, we receive. But there's this fear I have of jumping fully in, because what happens then? And you have to just push through.
You articulated that feeling so perfectly. So I was like, why is it that even when I am creating, I'm like, oh, I better not spend too much time. We have been conditioned that what we put our time into needs to have some sort of productivity or financial return, especially if you're just scraping by.
Yeah.
But loving ourselves enough to give to ourselves and give to our art and share our gifts to the world, it does have an almost immediate return in terms of satisfaction.
Yes, I quit my job in 2021. Had spent, at the time it was over a decade in video marketing, doing scripts and scene plans for whiteboard videos, motion graphics videos. It was a fun job, but it was too much. It was too much, and it was time to step in to who I'm here to be. And so I cold turkey quit. And then for the next year and a half, all I was doing was creating, traveling, building community, and I lost 40 pounds. I started aging backwards. Everything in my body was just aligning. And then I went back into the fear state and wound up going back to work, back to that previous self, and on came 40 pounds like that, without even trying. So I do think not only does it help our spirit, but when we are in alignment with the Creator within, our health is better, everything flows. So that's where I'm at right now, is getting back into that courage to make the jump again into pure creation.
Oh, that is courageous. I feel that deeply. And I know that it's working out because you're already rallying. Like, she so inspired me. I met her at a gathering, and just instantly the things that you were talking about, the concepts behind your art are so profound. I can tell that you're just tapped in to something beautiful. And what I love about you is you encourage that in everybody. You're like, yes, I am tapped in, but you all can be too. And let's go and let's live our lives. So I'm glad that we're getting into that phase of just relaxing into what we are. I have a quote that I wonder if you've heard this before, but Jill Bolte Taylor, she's a neuroanatomist, so she studies the brain. She says, although many of us may think of ourselves as thinking creatures that feel, biologically, we are feeling creatures that think. We have, I guess, up to 50 sensory systems in our body. And I feel like what we may be experiencing is the brain replaying, the impressions, the conditioning, the fears, whereas creating, you really drop into that feeling and the brain goes into a flow state. And you maybe use it to be like, do I use this brush or this brush?
Yeah.
Or am I going to take 5 minutes or 10 minutes? But do you feel like creating is more of a sensory experience that can have effects
Yes.
out in your life?
Yes. So I have done art where I recreate, and that is when I'm using my mind and I have a subject and I'm trying to recreate what I'm seeing on the canvas. That hits the brain. But creation, something like this, where I don't know what's going to show up on the canvas, I just start painting, and then it's like clouds in the sky. All of a sudden I see an image, and then I know where I'm going. That comes from the feeling. Both ways of creation, recreation and creation, are both valid and necessary. But for me, peeling back that structure of having to have something look or feel or sound a certain way, it's freedom to just let it be whatever it wants to be.
I love how you said that. It seems like, 100 years ago, we had the Industrial Revolution, and that was all about productivity and invention and thinking and moving forward. What are we moving forward? Work, 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 build, build, build.
Yeah.
And going into these states of freedom and questioning that imbalance, it's an imbalance right now. If so many people are losing what is innate in us, creativity, if so many people are losing that or don't feel like that's who they are when that's what we all are,
Yeah.
then we do deserve a healthy amount of balance. So it seems like there are trailblazers like you who are experimenting with how to make a life that's centered on creativity. And that's not easy.
No, it's not. And I feel like for me, it's simplifying. And I'm seeing this pop up in my life in a lot of ways is, what do I have in my life that I don't really need, but it's taking up bandwidth in my financial sector, in my mental sector, in my emotional sector, but is it really necessary? And so I'm in this like shedding phase, and I'm going on this trip to Portugal, and all I can take is a pack on my back. And for me, the ultimate overpacker, this is, again, on the other side of fear, but I'm really having to think through what is necessary for me to be here. And it's really just the air in my lungs and the willingness to create. That's all I need. And
that's
so
beautiful.
If we go from this space of the factory worker and you need a house and you need these appliances and you need this and all of this costs money and you work until you're 65 or 67 years old just so you can earn the right to sit and watch the sunrise when the sun has been rising the whole time.
That is powerful. That is powerful. Tell me about these trips and the wild lights.
Okay. So I have always been been drawn to different cultures, the architecture, the art, studied all of these civilizations my whole life, and I've been basically nowhere. So as I'm shifting into this phase of my life where I can put focus here and really develop what lights me up, I had this impression come through, and the words I heard was to wander the world and gather the wild lights. And so that stuck with me. So I am now spearheading with some friends a travel group called the Wild Lights, and they can do the planning. I just show up because chaos. I love the chaos. But we're just kind of letting our hearts guide us of where are we going, what are we doing. The destinations will be determined by dreams and visions and inklings. And our first place that we're going is Portugal. We are going to walk the Camino de Santiago up the coastline. So like 200 miles, just hoofing it.
And people have profound experiences. They say anything that happens on that trail is really potent and meaningful.
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
that's an epic trip with your group too. I'm
With the
sure that
group.
will be incredible.
It's going to be a blast. And I do feel like it's the perfect first trip for the Wild Lights to take, because it will cause us to really simplify, go within, and then just feel into what do we want the rest of our lives to feel like, to be like. For me, I would love to just be creating, traveling, getting inspired, connecting with people. That's what it's all about.
That's beautiful. I remember when I first started getting called down to Sedona towards the end of 2020, after everything was removed from my life. I got back in touch with my intuition because I didn't know what I was doing down there. I just heeded the call like you with the Wild Lights. But once I got down there, I was guided. Like, go here, go here. And this was new to me. I hadn't really leaned into my intuition. I'd meditated a lot, but in terms of actually doing that in the world, it always led to something useful or magical. And it took setting aside the time to not have an agenda, what I call wander time,
Yes.
to lead me into these pathways that expanded my experience, expanded me as a person. And that's something that I would recommend anyone who has had one paradigm removed from their life. You kind of find you're in this void, you don't know what you're doing. You might start creating the same thing you just left or that was just removed, which means that it will be removed again because you were supposed to move on and expand. How do you prevent when one cycle ends, when life falls apart, when you feel like there's nothing left here for you? How would you guide people in not recreating the same thing that just fell apart?
So I would say that I keep a very loose grip on what I think I know. So growing up, I grew up in a religion that was very much focused on what we know. And I know this to be true, and I know this, and I know this.
Did you grow up LDS?
I did.
Me
Grew up
too.
LDS. Fabulous. Grateful for the foundation that it gave me. But I have been on this for the past, probably 6 years. My path where I'm differentiating truth from tradition. And within organized religion, there is a lot of tradition that has been passed off as truth.
Ooh, yes.
And that is not for me to say for anyone else, because truth is a very individual, perspective point. So for me and my truth, I believe that letting go of this idea that we need to know anything is freedom. Because once you know something, you grab onto it and you hold tight. And then you are locked in this framework of thought that never is open to anything else. So since I've had this breaking open, I'm always thirsting for knowledge. I love information. I love ideas and concepts that challenge me and help me think in different ways. And so whenever I grasp onto this idea or a story or a history, I love it and I'm grateful for it, and then I let it go. And I call this knowledge, but the no ledge, where once I get to this point where I'm like, I know, jump off. You don't know anything. Jump off that ledge, start again, take it from a different perspective, because then you don't get stuck in those ruts in your mind.
That's brilliant. I found that can improve your relationships so much, to understand that their thought loop or their conditioning doesn't have to be something that you agree with, but you can remain curious and ask questions. And my son does this, and people like higher level thinkers do this, feelers do this, where they'll be curious instead of being offended or throwing back another pattern of conditioning, and now it's two egos battling.
Yep.
Neither of their true selves.
Yep.
But I find that openness feels good to us. Even if you are resistant at first to be curious about someone's perspective that may feel weird to you, when we start to get curious and remain open and you see how it relaxes the other person, I feel like it's addictive.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that is how we're built? Are we built to be curious?
Well, we're built to evolve. And so if someone were to put me in a box, like me at 17 years old, and I never get to change who I am from their perspective or my perspective, how limiting is that? So we evolve. And if I choose to be this fluid being who, I could walk out that door today and have an experience that flips me in my perspective, and this person sitting here is no longer a part of this environment, of this world. I want that freedom to become whoever I'm going to become. And so to honor that freedom in myself, I have to allow that for others. So with my children, yes, I brought them into this world. I created their canvas, but they are the paint. They choose who they are in every moment, and I can't hold them back in, one, what I want them to be, or two, who they were yesterday.
That is something that I wish more kids had from their parents. No hard expectations on who they're supposed to become. Because we never know, do we?
We don't. And who we think they should be, that could be way below the mark of who they're here to be. And it's this finish line that we give them. But what if they, could reach the moon with who they are to be?
And we only relate to people as deeply as we relate to ourselves. So maybe there's more that we can expand and experience instead of keeping ourselves at this ceiling.
Yes.
There are no hard and fast rules for life, but we are given these templates in religion and society that a lot of us have been put into or have found ourselves caught up in.
Yeah.
But like living bravely like you, jumping off the ledge, whether that's mentally or quitting your job, that's hugely courageous. And what have you found happens?
Oh, well, in the space when I did it and I stuck to it, my whole life started, my body felt better. Everything felt better. And my connection with whatever animates me, I don't know. I don't know what to call it. Whatever's in here, it was able to show up more without the routines and the limitations that keep it subdued.
This is the whole thing that I'm interested in, and why I like interviewing trailblazers like you. We have a true nature. We have a true self, an actualized self. And we get caught up in these false selves that we've had to build to survive or to function in this society. But disassembling that false self, you find that you have these things that make you happy. And it's almost like we realize what kind of animal we are.
Yeah.
Like maybe we've been living life as a chicken, We do this at this time, we eat this. But then we realize we're a horse.
Exactly.
And we need room to run.
Yes. Well,
we
and
need a herd.
In church, they always said, consider the lilies of the field, how they grow, how they grow. And when you are living your life as what you are here to be, a lily isn't sitting there wishing they were a rose. And a lily and a rose grow very differently. They have different colors. One has thorns, one, we are here to be who we're supposed to be. And I feel like we get put into this system where it's like, okay, you came through this family, you came into this ideology, this is who you are, when really our soul is like, no, I'm a rose. Don't tell me I'm a lily, I'm a rose. Right. And then once you start to live as what this is seated in here, things show up. A lily doesn't have to toil or figure out where it's going to get its water from. It is given to it. So if you live authentically with what is creating in here, it all aligns.
Oh, thank you for that. It's something that I've felt could be true, and I've had moments where I feel really aligned and things are working out, but then that fear creeps in. So I'm so happy you're articulating these, because it seems like for those of us who are hearing the call that we do deserve more freedom and that we will be supported, we can do it, especially together. And that's why I love that you're gathering groups. I want to hear a little bit more about this painting behind us and your paintings in general, because when I saw the one with the horse and you said it's a horse without a rider, freedom.
Yes.
This just speaks volumes, but it speaks to me in frequency and power. Do you have words for it?
Yes. So when this one started to come through, what it felt like is a standoff. And you have the battle of the body and the manipulation of the mind. And they are just butting heads. And what they're stopping is, if you can see here at the bottom, it's a white bird. That's the spirit. Your spirit is trying to rise and come through, but your body and your mind are like, bonk, 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 preventing it. So for me, this is reminding me to quiet those down and then let the spirit come through. Just step out of the way and observe. That's another thing, is I'm realizing as I start operating from this, my ego, LesaBelle Thomas, becomes an observer. And then as the spirit within me starts to operate, I'm in awe as I observe who I truly am. And it's like I've gone from what I thought was the main character in my life to the narrator. And it's amazing.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Like, we have this idea of who we are, but then when it observes who we actually are, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's way better.
Yes.
And then that worthiness just comes all online.
And I think the self-love too, because I've always loved me. I've always had a good sense of self and a positive attitude, but I am in love with whoever is emerging here. And she's never done. Like, we're never done. And I think that's what a lot of people, they're on their healing path, they're on their spiritual path, and they're always looking for this destination.
Right.
The purpose is the path.
And nothing shows you that in real time more than creating.
Yep.
Because you don't know how it's going to turn out. And like I told my son, not all expeditions are successful, but you always learn something.
Yeah.
Like with the painting or whatever you're creating, a poem, a meal, a garden, you don't know how it's going to turn out.
No.
And so it gets you trained.
Yes.
That you're enjoying every moment.
Yes. And I love I can't remember if someone said this or if it came through in one of my poems. I can't remember. But the idea is that poetry is speaking in cursive.
Ooh.
And so
Love poetry. I love your poetry.
Thank you. These swirling concepts that they don't have to have defined edges,
Yes.
complete sentences. And that's why I like that my paintings are a little rough. Nothing is perfect, because it is in that roughness that you're never done. There is no turkey timer that's like, ping, you're done. We're always going. And I see so many people, they go on their path and they grow and they grow and they grow, and then they hit this point and they kick it into neutral and they wait to die, because then on the other side, they'll understand. But we are here to just constantly grow and evolve and change and allow others to do the same. And I think that's where forgiveness comes in, because you have to be open to someone meeting you being a completely different person than the last time you saw them.
Oh, wow. We don't even have the same stomach lining as we did last week. Like, our bodies are always changing.
Thank goodness, because Taco Bell.
Mine's Del Taco. No, this is for one person. I know it looks like I'm feeding a family of 5.
Oh, goodness. It's so good, though.
So good. Starving artist.
Oh, my goodness.
But thriving. We're going to be thriving artists, because this world is starting to prioritize that creation a little bit more. I think people are disconnecting from social media enough to see how good it feels when they do.
Yes.
And if you do that and then add an art practice,
yes,
it will not be as appealing. I had the internet off during the Sparkle Power challenge that we did, and I was creating so much I didn't even miss it.
Yeah.
I wanted to get on and be like, art's cool.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
But do you find that it kind of puts you in reality?
I feel like it's the same thing where you have to watch the balance of consumption and creation.
That's right.
Because for me, social media, I live in this teeny little town. Like, who's going to see my art unless I get it out there? Who's going to hear our message unless we get it out there?
Yeah.
So using social media as as your megaphone for what you're creating, for your message, and then just be aware that as we listen to other people's messages, because I think it's important to take in information, but we get into this like mindless scroll state where it's just like consume. And I feel like that's when the creativity starts to shut off.
You're right. And not only that, but when you are socializing on social, you're not getting that connection. You may get some validation, you may get a lot of shame, but the real connection is offline these days. And I read these amazing case studies where they took groups of different people from all different backgrounds and even different abilities, autism, PTSD, and they put them in a group where it would normally be difficult for people with these conditions to socialize and to bond, but they gave them an art project to work on. And they said that the bond between everybody wasn't even really with words, but the feeling of unity was created and in a comfortable way through having a shared project. So that we don't have to fear social connection, especially when we're creating or traveling, like what you're doing is brilliant. So it seems like art and travel, these are ways that we can maybe start to get used to connecting in real life again.
Yes.
So thank you for organizing things like this.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited to see where it winds up, who shows up, what experiences we have, because the wild lights, to me, it's like lightning. You cannot plan when lightning strikes.
No, you can't.
It just happens. And so these moments that just light us up, these unexpected little pings of inspiration, of joy, of memory, that is what the Wild Lights is all about.
Oh, I'm so happy that that exists. Thank you for creating it. Thank you for creating this beautiful art. She has 400 pieces?
So many. So many. And they just keep coming through. A lot of them are purchased. So I have found, too, it's an intuitive process. And the art comes through with an image and a message that is usually meant for one certain person. So most of them have found their way into their homes. And so I don't have 400 pieces laying around, but there are 400 at least.
Out there.
400 out there that someone is connecting with.
That's beautiful. And what's your Instagram?
My Instagram is LesaBelle Art. It's LESA.BELLE.art. And Lesa with an E.
Yes. It has been so fabulous getting to know you a little bit more. Is there anything that you want to leave viewers with? Any advice, any words of comfort, anything they should know about you and your journey?
I think the main thing would be is that your journey is your own. And for me, I've always prided myself on being an individual. I like that I am who I am, and I'm not trying to be anyone else. And
It's
so,
refreshing.
yeah, yes. And so with the gifts that I have, I know I'm not great with lists and organization, but I honor people who are. And so I can show up in a group with the gifts that I know I have and know that's enough and it's effortless. And you only, like the lily, you only have to show up and be you. And so I would just say focus on what lights you up, what comes effortlessly and easy for you to do for yourself and to do for others, and then start there. Start building there, and then other people will be brought in with the pieces that maybe you don't have. And that's where these communities are going to come together and flourish because no one's working. We're just existing.
That philosophy and framework alone could transform our experience in the workplace. So if you have an organization, that is a brilliant template for building your team.
And I know people out there who are utilizing astrology, human design, gene keys to run in corporations people's profiles and then figuring out, why do these people work so well together?
That's right. I saw a job posting that said, we will do your human design. And I was like, finally.
Yes. So if we start leaning into this, life doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be suffering.
It doesn't have to be suffering.
No, it can be art.
Oh, that's the feminine. I feel like that is the feminine because we had a guest who I really respect him. He's a great mentor of mine. And he says, we hold the suffering and the joy and it can be this yardstick. And it's like that masculine kind of, we can endure, we can move forth. The feminine is saying, well, we're balancing all of the years of that with let's create, let's make pain art.
Anyone who has ever had a baby, it is labor, it is suffering, it is pain. But what comes out of it? The creation of life. You wouldn't trade that for the world.
That's right. And I had this shaman, incredible shaman, Healing Wolf. She said that we are, and this was 5 years ago, she said, our world is going through the birth canal right now, and it is painful and it may be scary, but before we know it, we're going to be holding this beautiful new baby, and we're going to be so joyful. So it seems like the wild lights are coming back on. And we're all gathering thanks to our fearless leader. Oh, I am so happy you took time for us today. I am going to be processing everything you said and watching this a million times because you've laid out the template for life that I thought I was crazy for wanting. And to hear someone as put together as you, a good mother, an incredible community member, say that it's okay to be yourself and to be free. That's what we all deserve to hear.
Not only do we deserve it, that's why you're here.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to go traveling with you, and please go check out her Instagram. Something might connect deeply with you. And please just try to create something. That's who you are and what you do. Poem, a song.
Yep, a taco, whatever.
Let's go get some tacos right now.
Good.
That was perfect.
Yay.